Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up three very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls. It's the story of a man named Brady who was busy with three boys of his own. They were four men living all together, yet they were all alone. Till the one day when the lady met this fellow, and they knew that it was much more than a hunch, that this group must somehow form a family. That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. That's the way we became the Brady Bunch.
Hey guys, here to just pick up where Miss Spake left off in the book, Who Moved My Cheese. So sit back and enjoy as I read through this with you. Okay. Ava nudged Josh's leg under the table and said, "Move with the cheese." Everyone noticed that Josh smiled. I guess I've spent so much time thinking about why my dad left and wishing that he hadn't that I never thought about, moving on and not letting that one change mess up my whole life. Chris could see Josh wanted some time to think, so he changed the subject. Some of the guys on the soccer team know the story. Of course, a few think it's stupid and can't be bothered to get anything out of it. But some of our best players say it's helped them let go of stuff that was hurting their game. It gives them a secret language to use, too. Like if someone's holding back in a game, we'll say, "Don't be such a hem, go for it." I like that, Carrie said. We could use that on our girls' team. But you know what really stayed with me from the story was that question, what would you do if you weren't afraid of change? Peter claimed, I'd be on stage by now with my awesome band. He played a few licks of air guitar. If I weren't afraid, Melanie said, I'd ask Luke out, mentioning the guy she'd had a crush on all year. Then she turned to Anna and said, what about you? Anna thought about the question for a second. She finally admitted, I'd probably get in a maze and work on my college applications. You haven't yet? Melanie looked shocked. Anna shrugged. No, I haven't wanted to think about graduation because I'm not sure what I want to do. Also, I'm afraid to leave you guys. You're my best friends. You're not leaving us. No matter what changes come our way, some basic values like friendship will always be the same, Chris said. Right, Melanie agreed. But then when things change around us, that's when we have to move with the cheese. Anna admitted, I guess I need to change from being a him into a haw before my cheese gets moved after graduation, but I don't know how. Carrie suggested, maybe you should get a picture in your head of new cheese, like Haw did. Wasn't that what helped Haw to go out into the maze? Melanie asked the group. When he imagined himself finding something better, his new cheese. Carrie offered, come to think of it, that's what I'll do before I shoot a basket. The more clearly I imagine myself making the shot, the more often it goes in. So, Anna said, if I can picture myself next year at college, having a great time, learning new stuff, and meeting new friends, then all the changes I have to go through between now and then will seem a lot less scary. She took a bite of her pizza and tried to see herself on a college campus. At least you can admit that you're afraid, Melanie said. Sometimes I don't even know I'm scared of change. I probably hide it under other stuff. Like how? Peter asked. Well, like the election last fall, Melanie answered. A groan went up from the table. Do we have to talk about that again? Peter asked, snagging another slice of pizza. Yep, Melanie said, but this time there's a difference. She pushed up her glasses and went on. See, I wasn't sure I was going to win class president. Why not? I make the best grades in our class, and I didn't even think I'd have to actually do anything to make that happen. So why did I lose? Maybe if I'd heard the story sooner, I wouldn't have been boring you guys for months with my excuses and arguments, saying that I lost the election because it's really a popularity contest and that it wasn't fair. Well, now that I look back on it, I was him, sitting in that station waiting for my cheese to be put in front of me. When the cheese didn't show up, it was someone else's fault. Come on, guys, tell me. When I was whining about losing, did I sound like him? Oh, just a little, Josh said, laughing. Everyone else laughed too. But we were right there with you. I guess we're all afraid of change, Josh went on. It's like any change that you don't decide should happen is automatically a bad thing. Then, when one person says the change is a bad idea, everyone else agrees, like peer pressure. The more I think about who I am in this story, Melanie said, the more I see the real reason I lost the election. I just decided that being president would look good on my college applications. So I sat in my comfortable cheese station, waiting, while I should have been out in the maze, sniffing and scurrying. Then I would have found what kind of class president everybody wanted. If I'd have been more like Ha, I would have been able to see what I was doing wrong, laugh at myself, change what I was doing, and do a lot better. But I didn't. So stupid, Melanie said, shaking her head. Hey, there's always next year, Carrie said. Peter laughed and said, Ha for president, making Melanie smile. Josh finally asked what had been on his mind since lunch. Do you guys think that him ever changed and found his new cheese? I don't know, Carrie said. What? I don't think so, said Anna. Some people never change and they pay the price for it. Just look at us, Melanie told her friends. Most of us have a story about how we didn't move with the cheese and how it hurt us in the end. Oh, come on, Peter exclaimed, still skeptical. You guys are taking this way too seriously. There are changes happening every day. I'm sure I've been dealing with them just fine for the past 16 years of the story of the story with my life without this cheese story. Maybe the little stuff, Melanie said. What about the big changes? Look how we reacted to the change at school today, Carrie interrupted. None of us sniffed it out. Nobody scurried over to find out what the new schedule was. Instead, we all sat in our comfortable cheese station, otherwise known as the cafeteria, and complained. You're right, Anna said, and I heard later the first kids who went to the office to ask about new schedules got to pick what they wanted. They were the scurries. Us hymns may be assigned a schedule we don't want. Chris was glad he was keeping quiet. It was so interesting to see what his friends were getting from the story. Peter looked around and asked, Where's Carl? He said he wanted to watch something on TV, Carrie answered. I could tell he thought the story was stupid from the look on his face, but he's probably the one who needs it the most. Melanie nodded. I can see why Carl isn't into this. The story brings up some tough questions like, what old cheese do I need to let go of? What new cheese do I need to move on to? Maybe he isn't ready to face that stuff right now. Carl reminds me of what I was like when my parents decided to move here, Carrie said. I didn't want to leave my old friends, and I totally resisted the change. It got ugly. Anna laughed. I remember that. You refused to talk to anyone here at first. Ugh, Carrie groaned with embarrassment, hiding her face in her hands.